just carry the like you don't get pregnant. So they were avoiding vaginal sex and doing all kinds of sex. So I focus on the positive. I know what the purpose is. The purpose is to enlighten and teach people and kind of sort of like give them that knowledge that they wouldn't otherwise want to learn about. And I think it has helped that it's coming from me.
Hello Africa, hello Nigeria. My name is Chioma Amaryllis and you're watching Blueprint Africa TV, the exceptional African storytellers. I hope you subscribe to our YouTube channel at Blueprint Africa TV. Today I'm going to be having a wonderful chat with a very beautiful woman. She's a TV host and presenter at Ikeji TV. She's a fashion enthusiast. I'm talking about no other than the Chioma Amaryllis. Hey ma, it's nice to meet you.
Thank you.
You look so much better in person than in your pictures.
Do I?
Yes, you do.
That's a compliment. Thank you very much.
Alright, so tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, as you said, my name is Chioma Amaryllis. I am a TV presenter and a PR strategist. I know that a lot of people don't know that. So, and I do, write about social issues and political issues as well online. So.
Wow, that's very interesting.
I do it all.
That's very interesting. All right, the latest hat you're further is you joined the Ikeji TV team.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. When did you join? How's the journey been for you so far?
Yeah, no, it's been great. I'm moving to Nigeria. I'm not completely all the way moved. So I moved here for about 6 months now.
Okay.
I happened to I had a meeting. I went to pitch a show, and one thing led to another. And you belong on TV, and then here I am. I'm co-producing a show with Linda herself, so it's awesome. It's really great.
Yeah, that's really nice. Your show is The Black Room.
It is The Black Room, yes.
It's a very controversial show.
It is controversial because people think, I think some people think it's like a porn or
on TV.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's one of its kind. It is really all about sex education as far as the Black Room is concerned. One of the reasons why we had the show was because I felt that people don't talk about sex enough, especially in Nigeria. And people are very, very, I'm going to say it, we are very hypocritical people when it comes to talking about sex. So the sex education that people are not getting in school, that's what the Black Room really is going to bring. So it's, we're talking about sex and marriages, relationships, and even just the singles. I wanted it to be raw, unfiltered, but thought-provoking, because we want people to have a place to ask those sex questions that they have. And if you can't go to your mom, you can't go to your dad. And, who are you going to have that conversation with?
Yeah.
Like, who does an 18-year-old girl go to?
Okay, so the show
if she doesn't.
young
So
people.
it's 18 plus.
Okay.
And the reason why we wanted to make it 18 plus is really because we have people who are parents watching the show. We have married people, we have people in relationships. We have people basically who we want to equip with the knowledge so that they can then be able to teach their younger ones. So the show is not for kids. And it's not because there's anything like, crazy going on. It's because it's adult content in terms of what we're talking about. We are very raw and unfiltered about it. So, that's why it had to be sort of like 18 plus. And then, kids, I have this sort of tagline that I tell people, kids go to bed. And then let their parents learn some things on the show, and then when the time comes, they can teach their kids, their teenagers.
But the show is on YouTube, right?
Yes, we're going to premiere on YouTube first, but the Ikeji TV platform is moving to DSTV. So when it comes to DSTV, it's going to be after hours.
Alright.
So it's going to be after 9 o'clock.
Alright, but social media, every 10-year-old, 40-year-old has
access to it.
To the internet, so
Right.
they can easily watch. So how do you gauge the 18?
Sure. For the 18 plus audience, I mean, I don't know if you really know YouTube well. Most of the movies that they put and they upload, they don't put it on that sort of parental advisory code. But you're supposed to, if it's of adult content, that's why you can't see porn on YouTube, for instance. You're supposed to put it in so somebody can, you press that you're 18 and over, and then you press it. Now you're gonna say, how can a kid not bypass that? And that's a good question. But the truth of the matter is, sex is the reason why we're all here.
Okay.
Whether you talk to your kids about sex or not, they will have sex. and they are going to have sex the wrong way because they are not getting the information. Now, we say it's 18 plus because, number one, only the adults kind of sort of know when the show comes on and when it's uploaded and when it comes on TV. It would be like if I ask you, you know, how do you prevent a kid from going into the parents' bedroom and seeing them having sex? That's not a fair question because there's certain things you have to basically be able to control your kids. We are not, you know, that's why the show is 18 plus.
Yeah, it's kind of diversion because every kid has access to the internet.
That's true.
Those questions can easily be bypassed. I can easily lie. I'm 35 years old.
Right.
So like, if I was 10, I could easily go to YouTube. And
but if with that argument, you know, like porn is accessible. One of the reasons why a lot of parents have, you know, worried about TV content and stuff or whatever, at least they can go and change the parental stuff and block certain things. You know, of course, the internet hasn't gotten to that, but you can't. If you can prevent your kid from watching porn, you can prevent them from watching the black room. So. But it's not porn. It definitely isn't. It definitely isn't porn. It's sex education for adults.
So you know we live in a very judgmental society.
Of course, certainly.
Especially in Nigeria.
Yes.
So you as a host, how has your friends, your family, your followers on social media, how receptive are they being when you say I'm doing a show that talks about sex?
Well, I have written content. I've been on Facebook since 2004 when it first came out. I was a freshman at University of Maryland at the time, and right from that, you know, my followership have grown, knowing that I write about human nature. So I write about politics. I write about social issues. I write about sex. I write about life. So to me, the irony is that we are so hypocritical about the one thing that is responsible for why we are here. You came here because your parents had sex and you got here. And so did I. And I know that a lot of people were a little bit worried in terms of how my friends were going to react. I wasn't so concerned about my followers and stuff, but my man is okay with it. You know, he supports me. So and he's actually here. So the first time I got the call to do the show, he was the first person I told, and he was just like, go scatter that stage and make sure that, you know, you teach them, because that's what I know how to do, to educate and enlighten my people. And so far so good. I have gotten messages from married people. I've gotten messages from people I didn't even expect knew about the show. A lot of it was just hype in terms of them not knowing what the show was about, but when they found out that it was about sex education. But I want to be serious about this. We are not promoting promiscuity or infidelity. That's not what the show is about. And that's why I wanted to discuss sex in marriages, relationships, and then of course single people will eventually be in relationships and marriages. So I want that hypocrisy about sex to be somewhat removed. When you say sex, people are like, oh my God, you're talking about sex, but how did you get here? You didn't, like, they didn't hatch you, you didn't fall from the sky, you know what I mean? And the thing is, you know, there was one topic actually on one of the episodes that I was asking the question, when is the right time to talk to your teenager about sex? In the American school system, by 13, you get the normal sex education and health classes. That is at 13. So a 13-year-old knows enough. So I did a research to find out that the rate of herpes and a lot of incurable sexually transmitted diseases was on the rise in Lagos amongst kids, teenagers. They were having sex, but they were having the sex that put their parents, you know, your mom would be like, hey, if the guy touches you, you just carry the like, you just get pregnant. So they were avoiding vaginal sex and doing all kinds of sex. So they didn't know that oral sex, for instance, you know, if you didn't, you know the best safe practices and stuff that you could contract, forget HIV, forget even any other thing, but herpes is on the rise. It's 5 times higher than what it was like 5 years ago. And of course you have the internet, and you have kids who are growing faster than our generation and the generations before us.
Like there's the internet, so it's like so much information out there.
It's so much information, but the funny thing about it is because this new generation are very open, I'm hoping that we have a younger generation of people who are enlightened and educated about what to actually do about their bodies, understanding their bodies, and you know, when they get married and get into relationships and they start having sex, then they don't know what to do. And they will thank you later.
Alright, that's fine. Alright, you have a very, 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 very controversial nickname.
Yes.
Queen of the Coast.
Absolutely.
It's,
don't I look like one?
you I don't know what it's supposed to look like. Tell me about it. How did you come up with that?
I have always been a controversial person.
So you decided to embrace it, right?
Yeah, so I embraced what they called me. They said I was, then I became. I think that's the easiest way to kind of sort of put it. But so they call me Queen of the Coast, I answer.
Alright, that's cool. You look really pretty though.
Thank you very much.
So how do you do it? Like social media has a lot of negativity surrounding it. So how do you do it? Negative comments and negative people on social media, because being in your position and having the kind of show you have, I'm sure you're getting a lot of negative comments.
And that's kind of sort of what I said earlier. I have been writing online for over a decade. So that gave me that kind of, I guess, leverage in a way, because most of my followers already knew what to expect from me. So they already come to my wall to read the things that they wouldn't, normally kind of sort of read elsewhere. They are asking questions. So you ask about negative comments. I actually don't care about them. And I also think that some of the followers, they also know that I have this thing of, I will respond to you. I will come for you. I'm the Rihanna of Facebook. You come for me and throw shade, I'm gonna throw forests back at you. Not but it's to kind of sort of encourage people to know, like, it's okay to have conversations. Okay, let's say for instance, what is a bad comment? As long as you're not saying something about, like, that is going to endanger my health, you are allowed to write whatever you want to write. And then from that, I am going to teach you one or two things about what you need to know about the topic at hand. So in a way, but I have more positive than negative comments, honestly. But I think it has to do with people already being used to the content that I write. I always say, if you come to my wall and you read something and you're not okay with it, you're allowed to leave, but you're not allowed to come and insult me on my wall.
Yeah.
Because we're gonna have problems. So it's just but on a serious note, if you focus too much on the negative and stuff, then it consumes you. So I focus on the positive. I know what the purpose is. The purpose is to enlighten and teach people and kind of sort of like give them that knowledge that they wouldn't otherwise want to know about. And I think it has helped that it's coming from me. It's coming from somewhat like somebody that's not their parent, somebody that's not old, somebody that doesn't look a certain way. It's not their pastor or their, an adult that they trust or know that is talking to them. It's somebody that they look, to a certain extent, maybe they look up to me in some sort of way, telling them something.
Alright, that's amazing. You mentioned you did grow up in Nigeria. That's been growing up in America.
Yeah, right. So I moved at 13.
Alright.
Yeah.
You moved from Nigeria to America?
Yes. I was born in Port Harcourt.
Okay. So do you feel since you didn't grow up here, will you say that you understand the Nigerian society?
Absolutely. I come here every year.
Okay.
I come to Nigeria every year.
Every year.
I probably speak more Igbo than you do.
Seriously?
Uh-huh.
Talk to me in Igbo.
Let's do the interview in Igbo then. I can write Igbo better than you. You should have seen that on Google.
Are you kidding?
Of course, I write Igbo. I write post on Igbo.
Igbo.
What them man?
Imwaka.
Thank you.
That's English.
Oh no, but that's not what we said. I didn't say it's gonna be 100%. No, but we can have a regular conversation. I got Igbo now.
Okay.
Can I see you now? Olotede. I'm not from Imo State.
Yeah, Olotede is Imo.
I'm from Mbise, actually.
Okay.
Number 5.
Alright.
Yeah, so.
Alright, that's good. Okay. Do you ever see yourself getting involved in politics?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I worked for the DC government for 6 years. So my strength is in government relations and political strategy. So the PR strategy I do is because I have a master's in public relations. So I will get into politics, but I'll get into policy first. I really am concerned about changing the system itself. It doesn't matter who comes in if the system is flawed. So policy is what changes. Policy basically is changing what is into what is better, and then whoever you put, it doesn't matter. The more we say that I know buy her, I will go and all that stuff, and the politics is not our thing. We always say that, right?
Yeah.
When you keep saying politics is not your thing, you don't actually learn that the politics of Nigeria, you actually have to master it. Politics is actually a game.
Yeah.
And some people say a dirty game. I mean I love politics, and I think because I understand it and because I have worked in it, I understand the way that it works.
Guys, I don't know if you can, but I can spot a huge ring on her finger, like a huge diamond rocks. Tell me about that.
You have eyes.
I
do see.
I do.
You did your homework. No, I'm engaged
Okay.
to a very lovely man. Yeah, so, and he's in the studio. So.
Yeah, but we can't say him, but he's really lucky. He's
Yeah.
a very lucky guy.
He better be lucky. Girl. I'm just kidding. no, but yeah. It's good.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
So there are a lot of pressures for single ladies in Nigeria. Like there's always you're not married. If you're married, what are you dating? Is he rich? Can he take care of you?
Right.
There's a lot of pressure on single ladies in Nigeria. What's your ideology on that?
I think the pressure comes from, I hate to say this, it comes from this thing of island Africa, like, when our parents always think that education is your way out of something.
Yes.
So that pressure, especially for this generation where parents are letting their daughters attain the highest level of education and stuff or whatever. So they look at marriage as that end destination, to crown.
Yes.
Kind of sort of like, you put on a dress, you put shoes on and all other stuff, like the marriage is the crown of the
no
woman.
matter what you do,
So no matter what, if you like, go and cure cancer.
Have,
if you cure cancer, your parents will be like,
married.
hey, yeah, but
Man,
you are not married.
you
Exactly,
Crazy.
yeah. So, and everything that you do, your husband's house, everything you
Exactly.
do, everything you do is tied into a man.
Yeah.
And I guess most of my brain, I am an African woman, and my parents are African, and I'm marrying an African, and so I understand that, and I think that women are not as pressured as they were before, and this is why I say it. Now, your parents may be okay with you, sort of still going, maybe pursuing your PhD and all that stuff. But your neighbors may not be. Your church people, your village people.
Your mom's friends.
We are a culture of
aunties.
Ihende Madige, like, what will other people say about the way that you live your life. And it is that thing because there's this Igbo adage, it takes a village. It takes a village to train a child. So essentially, it takes the same village to be impressed by what you do. So if you like go and cure cancer, if you're not married, you're not there yet. You're not there yet. And that's okay. Think about it. That's what you have. You will never hear somebody say engineer Mr. somebody, but you always hear engineer Mrs. Because the idea is that if it's, like say, it's engineer Chioma now. But is she married? Onokwadi. Thank you. So that misses. That has to be there. So because it makes the parents happy. But at the same time, to me though, I don't think that the pressure is as much as it was the generations before us. Now people are giving you that sort of time to sort of grow up.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Sure. Where do you see yourself in 5 years?
In 5 years, I'll probably be doing something major. In policy and politics, absolutely, and probably have other shows as well. Still writing about Igbo culture, still writing about history, politics, writing about life, sex, and all the good things.
Okay, so you plan to have this long-term stay?
Absolutely, yeah, absolutely. TV is just an extension of who I am. I've been with social media from the time of MySpace and writing codes and all that. I've been a blogger, and I'm gonna get back to blogging and vlogging as well. But now that I do TV is sort of that extension from being a blogger and being sort of a lifestyle blogger. So yeah, TV was the next thing.
Okay, all right. Let's shift a little bit to entertainment in a playful way.
Sure.
And then I ask, Wizkid or Davido?
Both. No. Now it's not fair. I have to choose. Wizkid gets me there. So to me, I think his body of work. I would say I'm more Wizkid than Obio. Yeah.
So it's Wizkid.
Okay. Yeah.
Let
it be known.
Wizkid.
Oh, did they come for me? No, but seriously, I can stand by it. Yeah, Wizkid all the way, Starboy.
Alright. Thank you so much.
Thank
it was amazing having you.
I had fun. Thank you so much.
So tell us, when is your Black Room going to premiere?
Black Room is going to premiere the 22nd of August. Yes.
Alright, we can't wait.
Yes.
Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I hope you had fun. I absolutely did.
I did too. Thank you.